Bizarre Brain Comics.
Howard the Duck. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Howard the Duck. Woo. Oh, about rolled away there. Hello, my fellow comic readers. Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. Today we're going to take a look at this little book here. This is Marvel Treasury Edition number 12 from 1976. It's a great big Howard the Duck comic book. Yeah. And this features the Defenders. That's the story we're going to look at. It was the Defenders. Now this book is primarily reprint material, representing Howard's first appearance and the first issue of Howard the Duck, as well as then the story here, the feature story, which was, from what I understand, not reprint specifically for this edition. And in the early 70s, I forgot just what year it was, Howard the Duck was created by Steve Gerber with artist Val Mayorik. At the time, Howard's first appearance was in a Man-Thing story. I've forgotten it was the title of the book it was from, though. One of the anthology horror books. Man-Thing was the primary feature of at the time. And Steve Gerber was doing the writing, and Val Mayorik was doing the artwork at the time. Now, this particular story is written by Steve Gerber and drawn by Sal Buscema. Steve Gerber, long-time writer for Marvel, and it has had a lot of ups and downs and conflicts with Marvel Comics over Howard the Duck and the rights thereto, which is unfortunate. I'd rather just see everyone get along and everyone get their due for the creation and the material. And so we've talked about Sal Buscema before when I did one of the Captain America books earlier on, and Sal Buscema was the younger brother of the artist, the better known artist, John Buscema, who is now gone. But Sal was no slouch in his own right, especially when they were earlier on. His style looked an awful lot like his brother's, and has grown away from that a little bit over the years, but you can still see it. And that's about all I've got until we take a look in the pages of Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Okay. Yeah, here you can get a better overall view of the cover to that book. Yeah. Sal Buscema cover. As you can see, this is a rough copy. I've had it for many years, but I did not buy it new. So it was secondhand and already a little on the rough side. That's why I was able to get it relatively cheap at the time. Here, at this time, they were having a kind of a gag with Howard the Duck. He was running for president in 1976. Just ignoring the fact that he's a duck and he's from another dimension. There's no way he could run for president, but he was running for president. And here he is, as I said, going to be with the Defenders. Here you can see him bounding toward towards the viewer, bounding towards the viewer with the defenders, and then on the other side, boom, going into the Howard the Duck campaign offices, and get down, America. That became his motto. Get down. And you can see it on the Hulk's butt, and everybody from being viewed from behind, the same positions. That's kind of neat. And of course, here they had the defenders of Doctor Strange, Nighthawk, Valkyrie, and the Incredible Hulk. And the Defenders, of course, was a team in the 70s. They were the non-team, just a loose affiliation of characters who didn't fit in with other teams, and they just kind of threw them together. Didn't even have a set headquarters, but they mostly used Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum. And if you've never read a Howard the Duck book, you might. It sounds kind of familiar. It might be kind of familiar. Well, yeah, I might, especially if you had ever seen this movie. Got a lot of glare on that cover. There, Howard the Duck. It was a Lucasfilm production. It was very disappointing, and I was a big Howard the Duck fan. I was excited when it came out. It had some great special effects and costume. They did a great job on Howard himself, especially for the time. And of course, Leah Thompson was the standout, excellent piece in this, or I should say, part of the story. Leah Thompson as Beverly. Had some great music. And the interpersonal stuff with Beverly and Howard seemed to be pretty well written. It was just the main plot. Terrible, so poorly written, and very disappointing. Especially that they made him from another planet instead of from another dimension, which kind of spoiled it in the way he got here. Okay, so let's take a look into the pages of Howard the Duck. Oh yeah, also before that, when I mentioned, because you may in some of the Marvel Universe, the movies and stuff, more recent years, you may have also seen Howard the Duck. He's had little cameos, and I think twice in Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers Endgame. He was in a crowd scene at what's known as the Portals scene. And but I can't say that I saw him there. I'd have to look again. And in Guardians of the Galaxy animated series, he was in several episodes there, and I can't remember what else. And hopefully he'll eventually get his own movie again, or be a more significant character in one of the movies, and done right. Okay, here we are. Open a page here, big splash page, and it's Prologue: 5 villains in search of a plot. There are these 4 weird-looking people in Central Park roasting marshmallows over an open fire. Sounds silly, I know. It is silly. And these are unknowns, and they're talking, wondering why they're here, who brought them here. And then they introduce themselves: Sitting Bullseye, Tilly the Hun, this guy's the Spanker, and Black Hole. And they're eating the roasted marshmallows, and suddenly the cops show up. No open fires. And they start taking on the cops. They're being arrested because they had an open fire in Central Park. And then the Sitting Bullseye shoots a cop right in the face with an arrow with a suction cup on the end. Because it had a realistic, normal, totally
that's part of the gag with Howard, is while the stories were kind of goofy and satirical on life and comics in general, the artwork, except for the cartoonish nature of Howard himself, was usually very straightforward, realistic, and to fit into the rest of the Marvel superhero universe. Here's a spanker, taking out a cop, paddling his butt. Now he's the black hole, the star. Some weird thing happened to him. He has the power of open this black maw in his chest and it starts sucking in everything, and he sucks the cops into his chest, into the black hole. So the black hole sucks. And they're gone. What the heck happened? And they're even kind of, that's where disgusting. The other guys are even disgusted. And then Harry goes, yes, yes, it's ugly, loathsome, unspeakably grotesque. And he is Dr. Anks, master of mundane mysticism. So he's just a very low-grade sorcerer himself. And he got these guys together, and he wants them to join me in my plot to assassinate the all-night party's candidate for president, Howard the Duck. The all-night party. Straightforward art, as I said. Sal Buscema did a commendable job. And then here we are finally introduced to Howard the Duck and the Defenders. And he and Beverly Switzler are being kicked out of the hotel they were staying in for non-payment because something gone wrong. They were there to meet the party members from that made him their candidate for president, and they didn't pay. So go and never darken our door again. Cut the aristocratic routine, Curly. If you guys had any class, you'd had that underbite fixed years ago. Yeah, he has a quick wit, and he insults everybody. Of course, Beverly is his friend/girlfriend, constant companion through all of his adventures. They met in their first adventure on Earth. And they're going to the subway, and they're talking and griping, and they're going to go to stay with somebody that Beverly knows in Greenwich Village. Nice street background scenes. Very nicely done. And they're walking around there, not sure where they're going, and they stop this couple to ask them directions, and well, it happens to be Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson, and Peter as Spider-Man was in their first adventure together on Earth, but they don't know that. Have you been? It's been. Oh, he had to suddenly cover when he recognized him, but suddenly didn't realize they didn't know him as Peter. Mary Jane gives them directions, and they go off, and then they get lost, go to the wrong place, and they happen to go to the front door of Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, and when they knock on the door, it's Nighthawk. What the hell? Now, Nighthawk is kind of like a Marvel's poor man's Batman in a way. You're a duck. No offense, pal, but you're hardly in a position to criticize, because he's old birdie too. But Beverly, she knows who she is. You're the Falcon, aren't you? Something like that. No, she misidentifies him. Brings him on in and calls for Doctor Strange. Here they all are, all the current members of the non-team, the Defenders. And they meet him. Naturally, a whole nest of zanies. My day is complete. And Strange talks to him. They realize that they got the wrong place, and Howard's going to storm out, but the Doctor Strange stops him. He says, I knew it. A sorcerer. I can smell him a mile away. Well, don't think I'm scared, Buster, by you or the green guy or the sword lady or that wacko with the case of feather envy. Such was never my intention. I merely believe we may have much to discuss. Because
Doctor Strange senses mystical stuff around Howard. Now our scene changes, and this is the a crappy apartment over a funhouse, which passes for Dr. Angst's headquarters. And here's his altar with a bunch of goofy stuff. He's got all his people here, and he says, "We may eschew our slavish adherence to outmoded tradition. With these metal spheres cast from the otherworldly alloy promethium." And he gets them all. They take it, and it says it gives them powers, and they've got to get to the source where there's more of these spheres available, which happens to be Doctor Strange's place. Well, they all feel invigorated, powerful, and then they look into their mystic shoe and sees the Doctor Strange. So yeah, they're ready to go. So say we all, excellent you fools, because he plans on he's just using them. So Doctor Strange is giving Howard a tour of the place, and then it starts discussing things, and said, "There's something mystical about you. I think it's possible, but with your political career," and the woman barely say it. No, he doesn't want to do it. And said, "Well, go take a look into this," because he offers to tutor him in the mystic arts, and Howard doesn't have anything to do with it. And then, just as they're looking into that mystic sphere, and boom, something happens. They're attacked by tennis balls, and Doctor Strange is knocked out. And everyone else hears noise upstairs, and they take off, and they're blocked by a picket fence. And then the rest of the bad guys smash in. Now here's Howard. Holy cow! What am I going to do? Nice detail, and that just a little panel of detail. Nice detail in the background. Howard takes a look, and they're encased in a giant box of shredded wheat. Ah! And then, what's this? A ghost? No, it's while Doctor Strange is unconscious, his astral form has come out of his body, and realizes they're under attack, but he is unable to function himself. So he basically imbues Howard with a portion of his own powers, and then is going to tutor him a little bit, tell him what to do. He said, "No time for self-reproach, Duck. I, Doctor Strange. This is is telepathy, Howard." Who thought that? Yeah. So he rushes down where everyone's fighting in the main floor, and then, "Repeat after me. Come, ye vapors of Valtor, ye billows of enchantment," and boom. Using the Doctor Strange type hand gestures, and whoop, suddenly everyone's gone except Howard and Dr. Angst. Oh, he's scared because he didn't know what to do, and he can't get in touch with Doctor Strange anymore because he's been mystically isolated. So then they're fighting together. Meanwhile, everyone else is transported to a football field where they're fighting on the field in the middle of the game. It gives them more space to work, and for being professional superheroes, they're not necessarily getting the better end of the deal here. Nighthawk is taken out by the spanker, even if briefly, and Tilly the Hun, she's all taken on the Hulk, and hardly doing any damage to him, but to fight. You male chauvinist, hit me, fight me. If not, you gotta marry me. If you don't beat me, you gotta marry me. But Hulk can't smash girl. And the Bullseye guy takes on Valkyrie, and she makes short work of him. This is the funniest part with Tilly. She keeps smacking him, and Hulk can't smack her back, but he comes around, uses the AstroTurf as a weapon. Then just about everyone's about to be wiped out by the black hole. It's a real nice figure. great muscular in his back there. Sal did a great job on that. But he's about to suck everyone into the black hole. But he just totally, just Beverly just outdoes him and sticks his hand into the black hole, and he's sucked into the hole himself. Holy cow! Don't touch that hole. Meanwhile, Dr. Strange, Dr. Howard is still fighting some goofy stuff, webs and all this silly stuff. But he whips off the cloak he was wearing, because it's a cloak of levitation, and it wraps up Dr. Angst. And then Howard cleans his clock the old-fashioned way. Pow! That's good. And they're there. Then they're still in the sanctum, and Doctor Strange is no longer incapacitated, and Doctor Strange commends Howard for his ingenuity and his use of the magic, and offers to tutor him. He says, "No way, no how." And the Doctor Strange brings everybody back. Beverly's good to see Ducky. The bad guys are cowering, and he even brings everyone back who was sucked into the black hole, including the cops from earlier. That's kind of disgusting right there. That's a real nice profile of Doctor Strange. Then, so those cops take all the bad guys away, and everyone's right there. Skip it, Doc. Just let me nap a while, okay? He says, then you can loan me $1 for the journey back uptown on a bus, huh? Okay? And that's the end of that. It's just a sure fun satiric read. It kind of pokes fun at the other Marvel comics. Here's Howard when he first appeared, just a few years before. With Valkyrie, and in a fantasy story, and interdimensional stuff with the Man-Thing, and this character here is kind of a barbarianish character. Howard doing his thing. There's Man-Thing. It's about time. It was his story. And there's the wizard, and all that jazz. And here's Howard in his first story on Earth, because he gets lost in the midst of the story. This is by Val Mioric. This is his first solo story. Something about a frog lost in a world he never made. Hell cow. And here we are. This is the first issue. It's when he first meets Beverly, and that's Beverly, another sorcerer, doing some weird, stupid stuff. Some really great art. This was by Frank Bruner, who was also a big artist on Doctor Strange for quite a while in the 70s. Did a lot of good horror and fantasy stuff. And see, Spider-Man was in the story with him. So that's when they first met Spider-Man. Okay. That was kind of abbreviated. I didn't get to talk. It's well crafted story. I gotta say, Steve Gerber knew how to craft a very interesting story. And you notice the way Howard is dressed here. And later, he had to wear pants because of a lawsuit, or potential lawsuit from Disney, because Howard the Duck was being confused around the world for Donald Duck. He said he looks too much like Donald Duck. You don't see Donald Duck with an ever-present cigar in his beak bill. But the blue, the suit, and the hat, no pants. So later they put on pants. And now the ironic thing is, it doesn't matter, because Disney bought Marvel, and so Marvel owns Howard the Duck again. And he's had various series. Even had a series of black and white magazine run for a while, which I got at the time. I don't know if I think I've got any of those anymore, which is unfortunate. Well, that's about all I've got. I hope you enjoyed it. Howard the Duck is good, clean fun. Good satire of the medium, of life in general. Satire on American society. Obviously, Howard never made it to president. That was the year that Jimmy Carter was elected president. I remember that. Okay. Hope you liked it. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Share it with your other comic book friends. And it's all good, clean fun. And remember, comics are art. Could be literature as well. Ooh.